सुखासनस्थं हृदयाब्जपीठे चिन्मुद्रयालङ्कृतपाणिपद्मं शुभोपवीतं विमलार्ध्वपुण्ड्रं नमामि रङ्गं गुरुम् अन्तरङ्गे।
Namaskar everybody, we are meeting after a long time. We shall now continue from where we left off. Earlier the occasion was when the various divinities approached Lord Brahma. They went there with their mounting problems. Brahma could sense that they all had come with problems that they could not themselves solve. However, he also gave them an indication that his portfolio was one of creation, Mayi Srishtirhi Lokanam, whereas the protection of the world was something that was vested with them, Raksha Yushma Swavasthita. With these words, Brahma concludes his speech, and then it is the turn of the Devas to speak to Brahma and explain their problem to him. And so Indra now looks at Brihaspati, and the way Indra looked at Brihaspati itself is very beautifully indicated. He looked at Brihaspati with his 1,000 eyes, says Kalidasa. Gurum netra sahasrena nodayamasa vasavaha. So he urged him with his eyes. Perhaps he winked his eyes, and it is said of gods that they never wink their eyes, so they are called nirnimesha. And yet on special occasions, says Malinatha the commentator, that even the gods out of a special will they can wink their eyes. They normally do not do so, but on this occasion, so with his 1,000 eyes he winked at Brihaspati, urging him to speak on their behalf. So Brihaspati the Guru, the Deva Guru, has become the mouthpiece of the divinities, and Kalidasa says that the 2 eyes of Brihaspati are greater than the 1,000 eyes of Indra. So the 2-eyed Brihaspati is the real eye of Indra, and that by far surpasses the 1,000 eyes of Indra. Sadvinetram Haresh Chakshuhu Sahasra Nayanadhikam. And this Brihaspati, also called Vachaspati or Vakpati, so he now spoke to Brahma, addressing him with his hands folded. You can see the beautiful alliteration, sweet and mellowed alliteration there. Vachaspati Ruvachedam Pranjalir Jalajasanam. So then he says, O Brahma, you are the Antaryamin, and you are within the interior of every being, and it is not that you do not know what is happening to us. So how can you not know what is happening to us? Well, let me still explain. There is this demon Taraka, the great Asura, Tarakakyo Mahasuraha, and he has become puffed up with pride on account of a boon given by you, Bhavalabdha Varodirnaha. So in a way, the source of the problem is yourself, sir, because you have conferred upon him this great boon. Upaplavaya lokanam dhumaketu divothitaha. So he has arisen on the horizon of the world like a comet, like a dhumaketu. So bad times that we are also seeing now presently, so with the COVID, so something like that. So it is something that is torturing the entire world without exception. And he says, he goes on to say now the difficulties experienced by the various divinities themselves, how the sun is suffering, how the moon is suffering, how Vayu is scared, how the various seasons they shiver at him, how the ocean is suffering, how the Vasuki is suffering, how Indra himself is suffering. All these are beautifully listed out by him. So he says, the sun has no business now to look bright, so he cannot burn he can be only as bright as is sufficient for the lotuses in the ponds of Taraka to bloom. So, if he burns anything beyond that, he will be punished, and therefore Dirghika Kamalonmeshu Yavan Matrena Sadhyate, only such amount of heat and light may he generate, and not freely as he would do at his own will. So, it is only for the lotuses to bloom in the ponds of Tarakasura, and he cannot shine anything beyond that. And what is the state of the moon? So, he is serving Tarakasura all the time. Sarvabhihi Sarvada Chandraha Tam Kalabhihi Nishevate. So, he serves him with all his kalas. Chandra is said to have 16 digits, Kala is digit, and with all the 16 kalas he is said to be serving him. So, and all the time, usually the moon is visible only in the Shukla Paksha in full, and in the Krishna Paksha he will be receding. Not so here. So, in order to serve Tarakasura, he has to shine all the time. So, Nadatte Kevalam Lekham Harachudamani Kritam. I should say with his 15 lekha, 15 digits, because the 16th one is constantly on the head of Hara or Shiva, and only that has not been pressed into service. It is also said that Shiva is often the friend of the Asuras, or Asuras are devotees of Lord Shiva. That is also because the portfolio of Shiva is one of destruction, and the Asuras themselves are bent upon destruction, and therefore there is some amsha there. And anyhow, it is because Lord Hara or Shiva is one who is propitiated by the Asuras the more. So, only Shiva has been spared, as it were. The digit of the moon on the head of Shiva has been spared. And what about Vayu? The wind cannot blow in the gardens of Tarakasura, so in any strong manner, because he will be accused of stealing the flowers there, and therefore that he is not supposed to do. Navati Vayu, it is the business of Vayu to blow. Va Gati Gandhanayoh, says the Dhatupatha, and yet Vayu cannot blow, and it is only as much as the fan that can blow that he can blow, so not beyond. And what about the 6 seasons? Normally the seasons have a particular order and a sequence. They say Vasantascha Tatha Grishmaha Pravritcha Sharadevacha Hemanta Shishirashchaiva Shadete Ritavas Smritaha. These are the 6 seasons which come one after the other in a regular order, but that was not to be the case here. In the case of Tarakasura, their Pariyaya Seva, that is in a relay fashion, one after the other, that sequential order is totally to be eschewed now, and all through the year the various seasons have to put forth flowers and fruits just to appease Taraka, and the 6 seasons have been reduced to no more than ordinary gardeners. Udyana Pala Samanyam Ritavaha Tam Upasate. And how about the ocean? The ocean is called Ratnakara, and he is all the time waiting for the gems within him to come to a ripe stage and offer them to Tarakasura. Tasya upayana yogyani ratnani Saritam Patihi Kathamapi Ambasam Antara Nishpattehe Pratikshate. So, he is only waiting for the time when he has to offer the Ratnas, and as soon as some gem matures, so he is going to offer it to them. And the situation with Vasuki, that is also pitiable. And Vasuki Pramukhaha Nishi, Vasuki and others, during the night time they had to provide service to Tarakasura. So, they have the Nagamani, the gem on their hood, and they have to act the role of a Sthira Pradipatam. Sthira Pradipa is a fixed lamp. So, while Taraka is sleeping, they had to provide some minimum light, and they should be like fixed lamps, Sthira Pradipa, and they are not supposed to go out. So, the lamps ought to be there all the time. Bhujanga of Paripasate, they have to serve him. And even Indra himself has to serve him. So he brings in all the trees, the Devataravaha, so Kalpadrumas, so those are offered by Indra as some presents to him. And in spite of the fact that Taraka is being appeased in every manner, he does not cool down, or he does not take pity upon the Devatas. Itham aradhyamanopi klishnati bhuvanatrayam. On the other hand, he tortures all the three worlds. And Kalidasa on this occasion gives a beautiful maxim. He says, Shamyet pratyapakarena nopakarena durjanaha. A durjanaha, a person who is by nature wicked, he can never be appeased with upakaras. So it's only with pratyapakara, so it's only through offense that such persons can be silenced. There is a saying in Sanskrit, who is a sadhu? It says, upakarishu yes sadhuhu sadhutve tasya ko gunaha. So what is so great about a person who is kind and considerate towards another person who is kind and considerate towards him? On the other hand, apakarishu yes sadhuhu sasadhu sadbhiririyate. So it is only a person who is kind and compassionate towards another person who has actually offended him. There lies true goodness and greatness and sadhutva in such a person. But that is not a universal law. There is a saying in Sanskrit, Durjavo narjavam yati sevyamanopi nityashaha. So serve a wicked man day and night, still he would not become a straight and simple man. In Magha's Shishupala Vadha, there is another beautiful comparison that is given. There it says, Chaturthopaya sadhyetu ripau santam apakriya stvedyam amajjuram prajnaha kombhasa parishinchati. There is one particular kind of fever called amajjvara, and it has to be sweated out. On the other hand, if somebody sprinkles water on that, the disease becomes even more intensive. And therefore, there are some enemies who are only Chaturthopaya sadhya, which means they can be tackled only with the fourth upaya. There are four upayas, namely Sama, Dana, Bheda and Danda. They have a fixed order, and Danda comes as the last, the fourth upaya. That is why it is called the Chaturthopaya. And there are some wicked people who can be handled only with the fourth upaya, namely Dandopaya, namely punishment, launching an offensive. And if you use kind words to such people, it is only causing more trouble for ourselves, Santvam apakriya for ourselves. And therefore, it is very clear that a person like Taraka can no more be appeased, because every way of pleasing him has been tried, all to no success. And therefore, Shamyet pratyapakarena nopakarena durjanaha. We also see in our own present times, there are certain sets of people who, the more we appease them, the more they get offensive.
Itham aradhyamanopi Krishnati Bhuvanatrayam. Itham aradhyamanopi Krishnati Bhuvanatrayam. Shamyet pratyapakarena nopakarena durjanaha. Shamyet pratyapakarena nopakarena durjanaha. Durjana shamyet pratyapakarena nopakarena durjanaha.
Taraka is a Durjana par excellence, and therefore it is no use making him appeased with various services rendered to him, and therefore the limit has been reached, as it were. Brihaspati continues showing how a great deal of damage and destruction and devastation is being wrought by this Tarakasura. He refers to the trees in the Nandana garden. One can read their immense ecological concerns even in those days, even amongst the divinities, because the sprouts of the Nandana trees used to be pulled out or culled by the celestial damsels with utter kindness. Sadayaluna Pallavaha. So that is how they used to handle those trees and those sprouts of those trees. But now those trees have become victims of his chopping off. So Abhignaha Cheda Patanam. So the trees would be chopped off and cut off by Tarakasura, and this is how the Nandana garden trees are being handled by Tarakasura. And what is the condition of many of the celestial ladies? The divine ladies have now been made to serve as a fan bearing servants of this Tarakasura, and while he is asleep, all the time he is asleep, they have to bear these their chauris and serve him. Chamaraihi Surabandinam, and they are not supposed to wave it any stronger than their own breathing speed. So it should be so soundless, it should not be violent, because if it disturbs his sleep, he would get supremely angry. And the fan has to bring in a gentle, cool breeze, and the coolness is brought about by the tears that they shed. The ladies, the celestial ladies that shed tears, and it is also hinted that that is the only time that they can weep. They have no right to weep at other times, and therefore Bashpa Shikara Varshibhi. Though the Shikara or the water drops of tears, so they are said to be hot when they issue from some sorrow inside. So still, because they are fanning Tarakasura, they get cool and they become sprinklers of cool water for him.
विज्यते सहि संसुप्तः श्वास साधारणानिलैः चामरैः सुरबन्दीनां बाष्पशीकरवर्षिभिः संसुप्तस्य हि विज्यते सुरबन्दीनां विज्यते श्वास साधारणानिलैः चामरैः बाष्पशीकरवर्षिभिर्विज्यते स हि संसुप्तः बाष्पशीकरवर्षिभिः चामरैः.
So many divine damsels have been taken captive by him, and this is their pitiable state. And further, he has insulted the gods in various ways. The peaks of the Meru mountain have been pulled out by him, and then they have been made into amusement hills by Taraka in his garden. So Utpatti Meru Shrangani Akrida Parvatastena Kalpitaha Sveshu Veshmasu. So he has his residential quarters in various places, and they are littered with some of the peaks of the Meru Parvata. The peaks of the Mayur Parvat are so tall that they have the marks of the hooves of the horses of the sun, and such mountain tops have been made mere amusement hills by Taraka in his various residences. And what is the fate of the river Ganga? There are said to grow golden lotuses in the river Ganges, and they are all now pulled out and they have been placed in the wells and ponds that Taraka has in his own residences. Hemam bhoruha sasyanam tad vapyo dhama sampratam. So Vapi is the pond, and therefore in his own ponds he has brought and placed all the golden lotuses that grow in the Mandakini river. And further, the divinities have another problem. So as in our own COVID times, now they are not supposed to move out of their residences. So Bhuvanalokan Priti, they are fond of the Swargins or the gods are fond of roaming about in their vimanas and surveying the world, but that they are not supposed to do now. Bhuvanalokana pritihi swargibhihi nanubhuyate khili bhute vimananam tadapata bhayat pati. And that is because of the fear that Tarakasura may sometime somewhere appear, and if he sees the vimanas of these gods, the flying machines of these gods, he would be supremely angry, and therefore out of fear of Taraka they cannot stir out of their home now. And then he is so arrogant that when Yajamanas perform yajnas, so they are offered into the fire, the mouth of Lord Agni, and from the mouth of Lord Agni he takes away the havis that has been offered. So that is the state of Agni, and he cannot help. So it is also the same with the excellent horse that Indra is said to have. The horse of Indra is called Uchchaishravas. That is one of the gems, 14 gems that arose during the Samudra Mathana, and that horse has been taken away by Taraka. It is now under his control. And this is also not merely a loss of some possession, it is also symbolic, because it is as it were the great yashas earned by Indra, and it is as though that kirti has been, that fame of Indra has been taken away. In Sanskrit it is a poetic convention to represent fame by the white color, and it is as though the horse being taken away, the horse which is white in color being taken away by Tarakasura is symbolic of the fame of Indra being taken away by this Tarakasura. And tasmin nupaya sarvenaha krure pratihata kriyaha. So viryavanti aushadhani va vikare sannipatiki. Kalidasa gives a beautiful Ayurvedic simile here. So he says, all our measures against this cruel asura have come to naught. This is like the situation of a sannipatika jwara, so which is a very severe type of jwara in which vata, pitta and shleshma are all going amok and they cannot be controlled at all. So even the most powerful of medicines, viryavanti aushadhani, so even they can do nothing about that, and therefore we are utterly helpless regarding this Tarakasura. And we all had hope regarding one thing, namely Vishnu, who had his powerful Sudarshana Chakra, and with that we thought this Tarakasura can be destroyed. But once this was done, this was used against him, but that became like a garland on his neck. So Jayasha yatra chasmakam pratighato thitarchisha harichakrena tenasya kante nishkamimarpitam. And therefore it is like a breastplate upon his person, or like a hara upon his kantha, and therefore it is impossible to handle this Tarakasura. And sir, we need therefore one general of the army, so one commander in chief, tadichhamo vibho srashtum senanyam tasya shantaye, to quell this asura. And Kalidasa gives a philosophical upamana here, karma bandhachidam dharmam bhavasyeva mumukshavaha. Those who are aspiring for liberation, they would require a dharma which chops off all the knots of karma. So our karmas will always chase us. We can never escape what we have done earlier. All our bad deeds will chase us and hinder our progress, and ultimately even our good deeds are a sort of a bondage, and therefore one has to transcend both the good and the bad and become neutral, and it is only a dharma of a particular type that can ultimately help. That is called nivritti dharma and therefore it is such a nivritti dharma that can put an end to all the karmans, so all the karma bandhas, and therefore just as such a dharma is required for setting at naught the force of all karmans, we require a general who can really bring to halt this Tarakasura. And it is only such a person who can bring back the glory of victory back to Indra as a lady who has been arrested by the enemy. Pratyanishyati shatrubhyaha bandimiva jayashriyam. So with these words Brihaspati ends his speech, and it is now the turn of Brahma to respond to the plea made by Brihaspati. Vachasyavasite tasmin sasarjagiram bhuhu garjitanantaram vrishtim saubhagyena jigayasa. He says, Kalidasa says, the words of Brihaspati were like the sound of the thunders, and like the pleasant showers that follow thunders, the words of Brahma were. So you have also come across this simile in the case of Socrates himself. His wife Xanthippe is said to be very quarrelsome, and she would shout at him so endlessly, but Socrates would not be moved. Then, seeing him unmoved by her angry words, she would bring a pot of water and pour it upon his head, and equally coolly he would say, well, after a thunder rain follows. So that is the way Socrates would react. But anyhow, here the pleasant showers are the words of Brahma which are going to soothe the divinities, and therefore after this after these words of Brihaspati, the words of Brahma begin, and he says, in the very first sentence that he says is, well, your desires will be fulfilled. Sampatshyate vah kamoyam, but with a precondition. Kalah kaschit pratikshitam, you will have to wait for some time. And natvasya siddhau yasyami sarga vyaparamatmana. And he also tells them, well, this is not somewhere I can very clearly interfere, because his portfolio is only one of creation. He has hinted at this even earlier. Natvasya siddhau yasyami sarga vyaparamatmana. I cannot create something here, but there is one other solution. And the reason for his not interfering right now is, he says, itasya daityah prapta shrihi neta eva arhati kshayam vishavrikshopi samvardhya swayam chettum asampratam. That Daitya, that Asura Taraka, so got all his riches from me only. Itasya Daityaha Prapta Shrihi, and therefore he doesn't deserve to get killed by myself. So I showered upon him all the boons and powers, and therefore it is not proper for me to put an end to all that with my own hands. And he gives the analogy. He says, even if it is a Vishavriksha, if one has brought it up oneself, then it is not proper to destroy that. Vishavrikshopi samvardhya swayam chettum asampratam. It is said a Vishavriksha is one, a poisonous tree is one, which can kill a person even with the wind that blows upon it. If it touches the other person will die. So that so severe and cruel poisonous can a Vishavriksha be. You have heard of Vishakanyas being employed by Chanakya, who by merely embracing the fellow to be killed, so they would be able to kill the enemy. And here are Vishavrikshas, so which even with the wind wafting over them can kill the other person. And anyhow, the aversion to destroy a tree is reflected even here. So Kalidasa's ecological concerns are patent everywhere, and therefore he says, that it is not proper for me to kill this asura, and there is some alternative arrangement. He is about to say that.
इतः स दैत्यः प्राप्तश्रीः नेत एवार्हति क्षयम् इतः स दैत्यः प्राप्तश्रीः नेत एवार्हति क्षयम् विषवृक्षोऽपि संवर्ध्य स्वयं छेत्तुम् असाम्प्रतम् विषवृक्षोऽपि संवर्ध्य स्वयं छेत्तुम् असाम्प्रतम्.
Brahma further says, earlier he had asked for this very boon, Vritam tenedameva prak maya chasme pratishtatam, that he should not be killed by any of the gods, and therefore that devair avadhyatvam, that was the boon that he had asked for, and therefore I cannot do that now. So I had to grant him that boon because otherwise his tapas would have been sufficient to destroy all the worlds. So with the granting of the boon, his tapas was brought to an end by me. Tarakasura is a person who is an expert in warfare. He is a Sanyogina. Sanyoga is warfare, and therefore he is an expert in warfare. And who can confront him except the issue of Shiva, an issue of Lord Shiva. So Amshadrite Nishiktasya Nilalohita Retasaha. Nilalohita is Shiva, and it is only so his issue that can destroy Lord Shiva, destroy this Tarakasura. Lord Shiva is Paranjyotis himself. Sahidev of Paranjyotihi Tamaf Pare Vyavasthitam, beyond all tamas. Parichinna Prabhavardhihi Namaya Nacha Vishnu. Neither I nor Vishnu can actually know the limits of Lord Shiva, the expanse of Lord Shiva, and therefore neither of us can ever know the greatness of Lord Shiva, and he is such a supreme Lord. Paranjyotihi, he is the supreme luminary, and it is only he who can do this now. Therefore, what you must do now is draw his mind towards Parvati. So, Shambhoho yatadhvam akrashtum ayaskantena lohavat. So, as one attracts with a magnet, so must the mind of Lord Shiva, which is now still in, in his tapas. Sanyama stimitam. Stimita is brought to a halt, so it is totally at a zero stage, which does not stir at all on account of his sanyama and tapas. So, with the help of the form of Uma, Parvati's beauty is extraordinary, and therefore with that you must try to draw his mind towards her, and therefore it is only Ubhe eva kshame odhum ubhayor bijamahitam sava shambho stadiyava murtir jalamayi mama. So it's only two things that can bear the force of the seed. So when Brahma creates, it is only the aptattva or the prakriti that can take the seed of Brahma for the procession of the creation. And here, in the case of Lord Shiva, his seed can be taken only by Parvati, and nobody else can do that. And therefore, tasyatma shitikanthasya sainapatyam upetyavaha mokshite surabandinam venihi virya vibhuti bhihi. So he says, it's only the issue of Lord Shiva who can become the commander-in-chief, and it's only he who can set free the celestial damsels. So therefore it is in that direction that you must put forth your efforts. So saying, iti vyahritya vibudhan. So telling the gods, Vishwayoni Stirodadhe. So Lord Brahma disappears, and now it has become very clear to the various divinities as to what exactly is to be done by them. Manasyahita kartavyaha tepi devaha divam yayuhu. They too return to their swarga. And then what did Indra do? So Indra now remembered Manmatha. Tatra Nishchitya Kandarpam. Kandarpa is the name of Manmatha. Agamat Pakashasanaha Manasa. So Manasa Agamat in Sanskrit is taken as an idiom. To go to somebody through one's mind is to remember and recall. So Pakashasanaha referred to Indra because he killed a demon by name Paka, and therefore this Indra now remembered Manmatha. Manasa Kari Samsiddhau Tvara Diguna Ramhasa. When we have some urgent tasks to be performed, our mind functions with double speed, and therefore Diguna Ramhasa, with double the force. Indra came to remember now Manmatha because it is with him that this task could be accomplished and not otherwise. Kari Samsiddhi is the accomplishment of the task, and therefore now Indra summoned to his mind Manmatha. And this last verse of the third canto of the second canto so shows the arrival there of Manmatha. Adhasa Lalita Yoshid Bhrulata Charo Shrungam Rativalaya Padanke Chapa Masajya Kanthe Sahachara Madhuhastan Yasta Chutankurastraha Chatamukham Upatasthe Pranjalir Pushpadhanva. Manmatha is called Pushpadhanva because his bow is made of flowers, Pushpadhanvan. So Dhanus is the bow, and Pushpadhanvan is one who has a bow made of flowers. So with folded hands, Pranjalihi Pushpadhanva Upatasthe. So Indra, Manmatha arrived near Indra. Shatamakha is Indra. Shatamakha Upatasthe Pranjalihi Pushpadhanva. And the companion of Indra is Mr. Vasanta, the Vasanta season. So Vasanta has arrived. So just now, yesterday Grishma has arrived. So here there is a description of the arrival of Vasanta Ratu. Sahachara Madhuhasta. Sahachara is the companion, constant companion. So Madhu and Madhava are the names for the Chaitra and the Vaishakhas. So Sahachara Madhuhastan Yasta Chuta Ankurastraha. We see that with the onset of the spring season, the mangoes blossom, and the sprouts of the mango, Chutankura, is said to be the astra, the arrow of Manmatha, which Vasanta brings in his hand. Sahachara Madhuhastan Yasta Chuta Ankurastraha. So Pushpadhanva Upatasthe, and he also has his bow ready in his hand. Chapa Masajya Kanthe. Near his bow is the near his neck is his bow. Chapa Masajya Kanthe. Rativalaya Padanke. So the Kantha of Manmatha has the marks of the bangles of Rativalaya Padanke. So to describe Manmatha and the effects of Manmatha, these descriptions are given. So Rati embraces Manmatha, and the mark of the bangles of Rati are to be seen even now on the Kantha of Manmatha. Rativalaya Padanke Chapa Masajya Kanthe. And he also has his bow, which has its own charm. The extremities of the bow, the Shringa or Charu or charming. So like the Bhrulata, like the creeper-like eyebrows of Lalita Yoshit, charming ladies. So such is the beauty of the bow of Manmatha and the arrows of Manmatha. It can be seen here that there is a sort of a paradox here. With the tenderest of flowers as his arrows, Manmatha can hit the hardest than any enemy, and therefore with these equipments Manmatha has arrived there, and with that he is now to stir the mind of Shiva. In fact, the word Manmatha itself very significant in Sanskrit. The etymology for the word Manmatha is given as Manaha Mathnati iti Manmathaha, one who churns the mind and disturbs the mind of even those who are tranquil. So, such a person is Manmatha, and therefore this Manmatha, with his flowery arrows and flowery bows, he has arrived at the very spot where Indra came to remember him. So, Shatamakham upatasthe pranjalihi pushpadhanva.
अथ सललितयोषिद्भ्रूलताचारुशृङ्गं रतिवलयपदाङ्के चापमासज्य कण्ठे सहचरमधुहस्तन्यस्तचूताङ्कुरास्त्रः शतमखमुपतस्थे प्राञ्जलिः पुष्पधन्वा ललितयोषिद्भ्रूलताचारुशृङ्गं रतिवलयपदाङ्के चापमासज्य कण्ठे सहचरमधुहस्तन्यस्तचूताङ्कुरास्त्रः शतमखमुपतस्थे प्राञ्जलिः पुष्पधन्वा.
So, the situation shows that Manmatha is all set, so he has brought all his equipments now to ultimately distract the mind of Lord Shiva. This canto number 2, was called Brahma Sakshatkara, wherein the various gods come and see and behold Lord Brahma and have a discussion with him and ask for a solution, and some solution is suggested. And the next sarga, the third sarga, is called Madana Dahana, where Manmatha is reduced to ashes. So, we will only cover the first verse of this next canto, the third canto, and then stop here. So, when Manmatha arrived there, it is said that Indra saw only Manmatha. See, Indra has 1,000 eyes. Though we have stereoscopic vision and look at only one thing with our 2 eyes, probably Indra had the capacity to see several people with his 1,000 eyes. But Kalidasa says all the 1,000 eyes of Indra focus now on the arriving Manmatha. Tasmin Magonas Tirdashan Vihaya, setting aside all other divinities, Sahasram Akshnam Yugapat Papata, all the 1,000 eyes, all the 1,000 glances fell now simultaneously upon this Manmatha. And Kalidasa says, makes a sly remark here, Prayojanapekshitaya Prabhunam Prayaschalam Gauravam Ashriteshu. Bosses sometimes pay attention to the particular officer or servant from whom they have to get something done. So, then they praise him and they cajole him and they want to get some work done, and therefore they pay all their attention upon that person, and therefore, so Prayaschalam Gauravam Ashriteshu. So, regarding those who attend upon them, bosses see, they have their gaurava, or their paying attention to the subordinate officer is often very fickle. So, it focuses on the person from whom they have some task to be done. Prayojanapekshitaya Prabhunam Prayaschalam Gaurava Mashriteshu, and therefore all other gods are ignored, and Manmatha has now become the VIP, and Indra addresses him in the most admirable of terms, and Manmatha is cajoled and he says, I am prepared to do whatever you want. So, and he boasts of himself, and as we know, every pride has a fall, and that is the story, beautiful story of the third canto. And third canto requires a separate and very detailed treatment. So that is also because the tapas of Lord Shiva is described. In fact, we may not be able to cover the tapas of Shiva in one session. So the tapas of Shiva in the third canto and the tapas of Parvati in the fifth canto are some of the most charming pieces in Kalidasa's Kumar Sambhava. So we shall reserve the treatment of the third canto to our next session. Namaskar all of you. So kind that so many of you have attended. Any questions you may pass on to me through mail, and they will be taken up in the next time.